Fire up the Harley for you?
You're gonna have to do like cut, film it, roll film, and drink Modelo. Yeah.
Hey, this is my DJ. I'm installing some shocks from Teraflex. They're the 9550s. They're sponsored by car sponsors and more 4x4 Center. We're going to be installing them on my Jeep today. I'll go ahead and show you what tools we're going to use. Alright, you're going to want a pair of vice grips. You're going to want a 13, a 14, and 18 millimeter ratcheting wrench. You're going to want a 13 millimeter socket, a 9/16 socket, a 15, and a wrench, a ratcheting wrench. So let's go ahead and get started. Here are your shocks. You're going to get front and rear if you do that. As you can see, you got a nice sticker on there. First thing you're going to do is jack up your axle so you get your tire off. Alright, you've got 2 bolts on the top of this bracket that holds the bottom of the shock into your axle frame piece here. And you've got one 16 up here on the top. So you're going to want to grab yourself that 13 millimeter ratcheting end wrench and your socket. Alright, now as you can see, I've got my vice grips on the top of this bolt here. There's a spot where the threads aren't, so don't put your vice grip on the threads, and then get your 13 millimeter on there. Now, this is actually a 14 millimeter nut up here, so make sure you remember that.
Some boy have to run when 45 back when it don't when we not meant to be a show.
Now when you get the 2 bolts at the bottom of the shock unbolted, you're going to stick a pry bar or a flathead right into the hole where the shock was, and you pry it out. And then you can go ahead and finish unbolting your nut at the top. Once you get your bolt completely undone, your shock should fall right off. I'm talking about video.
Oh, you're on your video. There you go. I gotta hold off on that for a minute. It's gotta work over that. What's going on?
What's up, Dave?
Oh, you brought us a beer.
Yeah, but I've already drank 2 of them on the way down here.
As you saw before, your shock comes with like some, like a strap on here to keep it compressed. Go ahead and cut that. Take this off. As you see, your shock's gonna do that. So you're gonna want to pop it right through there as fast as you can. Move it into place so you can put your bottom bolts in. Now, what I should have done before is put the rubber grommet inside there. Then you put a rubber grommet on the top, washers on both sides, then you put your nut on the top. So we're going to go ahead and do that. What you're going to want to do here, get your shock back out. Now, you have a washer for the bottom. You slide that grommet in there like that. And then you've got another washer and grommet. They're going to go on the top like this once you get it through that hole. And then you've got your nut that goes on the top.
They did really, really well, too, don't they?
Yeah, they did.
Well,
Now you're going to take your old bolts, you're going to put some grease on, because they don't give you new bolts for the bottom. You'll use your same nut and bolt. So grab yourself some grease, multi-purpose grease or whatever. You can use anti-seize as well, whatever works. You just want something to keep that bolt in good shape. Now put it right through the bottom hole on this side. Get your nut on. I don't have anything tightened down yet, but as you can see up there, I got all the bushings and the washers and the nut on. And now I'm putting the bottom ones on. And that's pretty much it for the front shocks. You just do the same thing on the other side. Pretty simple. Now we're going to do our rear shock. Find yourself a good spot on your axle to jack up your rear end so you can get your tire off the ground. Looks like that's too centerized. So let's go. Let's try for the control arm if we can get in there. Looks like that should work for us. Once you get your tire jacked up, use the jack stand.
I can't drive. I can barely sit in the chair without falling on the floor. In fact, I sat straight the fuck down.
oh yeah,
Alright, YouTube star.
Oh my God.
There was no chair there, Dave.
Put a jack stand underneath your axle
What a chair.
It's already
so that you can remove the jack stand. Lower your jack slowly. Make sure it lays right on that jack stand. Now, as you can see, you have a nut on this side, you got a bolt on this side. You're going to have to tap this bolt out with a hammer or something of that nature. So you've got an 18 millimeter on this side, then you've got a 15 on this side. Probably going to be tough. May want to use some JB Weld or not JB Weld, JB80. Now that you've got your bolt loose, take your nut off.
It is what it is.
And like I said, you want to pound that bolt out. Don't mess up your threads.
I mowed around.
Now at the top of your shock, you have two bolts. Either they come up from the bottom or they'll come down from the top, and then you've got two nuts. You want to take those nuts off, and then you're going to have to kind of wiggle your shock out from the top. Now, for whatever reason, I've got a square nut on this side, and I've got a regular nut on the far side. So I'm going to use my 13 millimeter socket and wrench on the bottom underneath where the shock mounts, and then I'm going to use a pair of vice grips to hold the nuts on the top. Alright, so your rear shock comes with a wire wrapped around here to keep it compressed, just like the front one comes with a band. So go ahead and take yourself some wire cutters. And this one don't come with any other bushings. It just mounts in there exactly how the old one did. There it goes. And luckily these brand new shocks are pretty easy to recompress. So you're just going to mount it back in there just like how the old one did. You got this on your top, you got your bolts that you had originally, and it turned out that that square nut that I had was actually welded to the frame. And then you'll just pound this in I wouldn't pound it with a hammer or anything. When you try to get it in there, just use a pry bar. So, if you can see right up in here, this is the setup. It would be much easier if you keep that bolt on the left slightly tightened so that when you slide your new shock in, you don't have to worry about tightening that. Now you can see we've got our new shock in there. This isn't tightened up quite, but this is how you want to do it. You want to have that left bolt slightly tight so you can slide the left bracket in, and then get your other bolt with your socket and wrench, and then screw it in, or however your setup is. Now, you're going to have to compress your shock back up. And you're going to want to take your original bolt. By the way, put grease on this.
I just come over here and get it.
And no one ever said it was going to be easy to get that shock bushing in there, but it'll go. Alright, as you can see, we got our bolt in, the bottom of our shock, nuts on. We had to hammer the bracket a little bit, but that's alright. We got her in there. And then you're going to do exactly that on the other side, and that's it. That's how you install your Teraflex 9550s. That was my installation of the Teraflex 9550 shocks for the TJ. It's a pretty easy project, not too bad. And I did know something, that when you are putting the new shocks on the, you can either start from the front or the rear, the left or the right. Either way, these new shocks are going to lift your Jeep a little bit higher, depending on how bad your rear shock or your old shocks are, and all sorts of other things. Either way, I do get a little bit of a better ride. I feel a little bit higher, and I think they look great, they perform great. And thank you for watching my video. I hope this helps somebody, and have a nice day.